Okay. I know I've been putting this review off for a bit, but I I've been planning to review Birds of Prey for a while now, but other stuff kept getting in the way, and I was going to review it yesterday, but I was really hung up with one of my jobs, so I really couldn't get to it. And I also watched the movie I'm going to review next week last night just to get some material going. So anyway, here is Birds of Prey, or Harley Quinn the movie, since she's essentially the main character. I mean, it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy where they take a somewhat obscure comic book characters and then they make them the stars. They're really the supporting cast. Um, but the movie is basically about Harley Quinn breaking up with the Joker and her trying to prove she's not just a sidekick. And I will say this, as messed up as this movie can get at times, it also has a Deadpool like sense of humor with Harley well, maybe not so much humor, although there is some raunchy jokes in there. But I do like how she would get the details mixed up in the movie, rewind, fast forward, and try to explain the sequence of events in the bizarre narrative. That's very Deadpool like from the movies, and also the fact that Harley Quinn is trying to take care of this teenage girl to keep her from getting killed by this gang member, this mafia boss. So there are a lot of elements in there. I basically gave away the plot. There's actually a lot to like about this movie. I am kind of a little disappointed that it underperformed. I'll get into my theory on that later. And for those of you watching, I doubt my theory is any different from what most people are thinking. Um, so the movie does a great job. It's basically an action comedy, and there are a lot of funny bits in there. But I think one of the things that I really like is that no matter how complex or how many people are involved in a fight scene, you still can see clearly what's going on. You can see the choreography, the stunts, the hits and the kicks. Like the lighting is perfect for a lot of these scenes, and it does go into bizarre, goofy, neon '70s kind of looks at times. And the soundtrack's actually really good too. I really did like the beginning where they played "Hate Myself for Loving You" by Joan Jett. That's a great song, and that's perfect for the beginning monologue for Harley. Um, and I also think that what also I like about this movie is that one of the things that I don't think many people like Harley Quinn's origin is that she started off as a psychiatrist in Arkham, this insane asylum in the Batman universe. For those of you who have heard of it, have heard of Batman, but are a little wet behind the ears with figuring out what the everything is. Yeah, I really didn't think that sentence through before I said anything. But anyway, they do. A lot of people seem to forget. I mean, a lot of the incarnations I've seen of Harley seem to forget she was really intelligent for a young woman at that in her field. So they do kind of show scenes in the movie where she psychologically evaluates each character and is just dead on. And it's kind of nice to see Harley a little smarter because usually in the other incarnations she's usually portrayed as someone who can be a bit of a hothead and a bit of a ditz, you know. And I think I remember I saw one person. Well, I mean, Harley is basically an abuse victim, and she doesn't really get that many moments to shine intellectually. So having her do that throughout this movie, it's a very cool side to see. And they also have the playful, goofy side amped up a little bit, not to the point where there's a tone issue, but they really knew when to have the goofiness happen and when to play the serious stuff in. And the main villain, I mean, most of the characters in this movie are either villains or anti-heroes. But I guess the main villain, air quotes again, would be Ewan McGregor as the Black Mask guy. And Ewan McGregor, he's having a lot of fun with this movie. I'm not sure if he. I mean, it seems like a combination of him enjoying the script and yet also loving every moment of being this really bizarre character, because this character can be quirky and charming, and then he can be bloodthirsty at the same time. I thought they did a good job at bouncing back between the suave, eccentric person and the violent guy. I would say Ewan McGregor and Margot Robbie were probably the two best performers in the movie. And that's not really an insult to the other performers in the film. It's just they didn't get as much of the focus. Um, I I don't want to spoil how Harley wins, but it's a pretty gruesome win for the McGregor character. I wasn't expecting it at all. And I will say this, that there are a few scenes in here that do give it the R rating, like some of the violence and stuff. But really, it's kind of tame. I think you probably could have gotten away with a PG-13 rating with this, but then again, I'm reviewing a movie that I've thought about extensively for the past few weeks, but haven't actually seen since a few weeks ago. And usually when I do these reviews, I try to review something I've seen recently. But I've been playing my thoughts on this movie through my head the past few weeks, and I remember it for the most part clearly enough to do a review. Um, so I honestly feel like the reason why this film underperformed is that I think it's because of the title. It's they call it Birds of Prey and the emancipation of Harley Quinn. The problem is Harley. Her name may be in the subline, but she's really the character headlining the movie, and most of the marketing, puts her in the spotlight. So I think if they named it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, I think that would have been a better move. So I think you okay as a marketing team. You're marketing a movie where the characters in the title aren't the main focus, and yeah, it's Harley was really the only character I think most people recognized when this film was announced. And again, I have friends, my friend Zach, who's really in the comics. Even he admitted that he didn't really know much about Birds of Prey. And I will say this, they do. There are some changes that I can understand why some fans would get mad at. Like I believe Cassandra Cain ends up going from being a fighter to a 13-year-old girl who's essentially the kid everyone has to save. I can see why that would upset some fans, but I would also say that given that this is an adaptation of a comic book, I feel like they did a really good job. And you are going to have to make some changes so it's not just a carbon copy of the original comic or comics. But I honestly feel like this movie, I would never put it up there with some of the greats in terms of the comic book movie subgenre, but I would definitely say it's a solid film, and I'm kind of hoping we get to see more of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, or just more Margot Robbie in general, because she was a really good, she did a great performance. She got a lot better at the Brooklyn accent than Suicide Squad, but then again, she was kind of one of the crowd. She wasn't the main focus, but I don't know. I'm really just rambling right now, so I really think that's all I have to say about this review. And next week, when I review the 2019 Aladdin, Eli, I'm doing this for you, buddy. Anyway, hopefully with that one, I'll have more to say. So, with that being said, this is my review, and see you later.